Okay, so let us continue the discussion on procedure for registration, section 25 of the CGST Act 2017. In the earlier lectures, we have covered section 22, 23, 24, and our 25 is going on. 22 and 24 talks about registration when it is liable, when the assessee, or I should not use the word assessee, when the person is liable for registration. In 24, there are some persons who have to obtain the registration compulsorily. In section 23, there are some persons who are not required to obtain any registration. And this 25 talks about the procedure that once you have to apply for registration, then what is the procedure of registration? I have discussed in section 25 so many subsections, like when my turnover exceeds the limit of 20 lakh or 10 lakh, as the case may be, then I should apply within 30 days. There should be single registration. Single means state by single registration, but if you yourself want to obtain multiple registration, then also it is allowed. Then requirement of PAN number is there. If you don't have PAN number, then requirement of TAN number is there. In case you are a person who is supposed to deduct tax at source, then how you should go for authentication, that is also there. Then distinct persons, establishment of distinct person, these provisions I have discussed. And now let me wind up this entire section 25 and all those remaining subsections of section 25. So let me share with you the CGST Act, and let me first show you the language of the Act, and then let me simplify that language for you with the help of some numericals. So this is your Act, CGST Act 2017, updated on 1st Jan 2021. Now, this is what my next subsection. Subsection 8 of section 25. If you remember, I have discussed with you these points. Authentication, that was my last discussion about authentication and verification through Aadhaar number or through other viable and reliable means of identification. Now, this 8 point. I should not use the word 8 point, it is my 8th subsection, where a person who is liable to be registered under this Act fails to obtain registration, the proper officer may, without prejudice to any action which may be taken again under this Act or under any law for the time being in force, proceed to register such person in such manner as may be prescribed. Now, this section talks about suo motu registration by the Department of GST. When you have become liable and you are not applying for registration yourself, then this subsection is giving the power to the officers of department that when the person is not applying, in spite of being liable, then department can issue the registration on its own. But there is a procedure to be followed, and that is why it is mentioned that how department should proceed. This we will tell. We means prescribed. Prescribed means CGST rules 2017. So the procedures are never mentioned in the Act because Act is through Parliament and Parliament cannot sit on regular basis. So procedures are always with the help of rules. That is why rules are made. Prescribed word is written because rules are easy to make and easy to change. Act cannot be changed easily. So all procedural things you will always find in rules, not in the Act. I will tell you those rules later on, but I have covered one point that it is suo motu registration. Detail I will tell. Next subsection. Notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1. Now, what is contained in subsection 1? If you remember, do you remember section 25 subsection 1? It says that within 30 days you have to apply for registration if your aggregate turnover exceeds 20 lakh or 10 lakh in respect of those 4 states. This is what my section 25 subsection 1. Now what subsection 9 says, that it does not matter what is your aggregate turnover. This is what the act says. Notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1, it does not matter what is your aggregate turnover, doesn't matter. Clause A says that any specialized agency of the United Nations organization or any multilateral financial institution and organization notified under the United Nations Privileges and Immunities Act 1947, consulate or embassy of foreign countries, and any other person or class of persons as may be notified by the commissioner. So in these two cases, when you are an ambassador to a foreign country, when you have the office or United Nations organization has its office, or any other person which is notified by the commissioner, these people, even if their turnover exceeds the limit, these people will be granted, not the registration number, shall be granted a unique identity number, UIN, shall be granted a unique identity number in such manner and for such purposes, including refund of taxes on the notified supplies of goods or services or both received by them as may be prescribed. Now this is a new concept, unique identity number. In exceptional cases only this unique identity number is available. Whom? To whom? Offices of United Nations organization, UNO has its offices in different countries of the world, almost in all the countries of the world. And embassies of foreign country, in every country you have embassies of other countries. Now these offices as well as embassies are also supplying something, visa services, and they are charging some amount. Apart from visa services, there may be some other services which these embassies or UNOs must be, offices of UNO must be supplying. So as a supplier, it is possible that their aggregate turnover exceeds 20 lakh rupees. American embassy in Delhi, Chanakyapuri must be supplying the services, and maybe for processing the visa, they may be charging, for example, 5,000 rupees. And maybe it is possible that the yearly aggregate turnover of American embassy exceeds 20 lakh rupees. Now, if you go by the law, the American embassy has to take registration if you read section 25 subsection 1. But when you read section 25 subsection 9, it says that embassies of foreign country, irrespective of their aggregate turnover, they don't need any registration certificate. But they need what? They can. I'm not saying that they must apply. They can take, rather than registration certificate, unique identity number. And what is the use of this unique identity number? You take the example of American embassy. I will assume this with the help of my notepad. Let me first read these provisions for you, and then I will explain this point. I will explain this point when I will share with you my notepad. Anyhow, my subsection 10 says that either the registration has to be accepted or rejected. Either the registration or UIN shall be accepted, granted, or rejected. Department cannot sit on my application for long. They have to either say yes or no. After due verification in such manner as may be prescribed. So it will remove corruption in the system because we have a time limit. When I applied for registration or unique identity number, department cannot sit on my application for long. Within the time limit, either they should accept it or reject it. Next subsection. If everything is in order, then they must issue me certificate of registration. In such form, so there will be a form number which will be written on that registration certificate and with effect from such date as may be prescribed. So it will, that certificate must tell me from which date my registration is effective. And last subsection of section 25. Now after this I will simplify all these subsections for you. A registration or a unique identity number shall be deemed to have been granted. Automatic registration after the expiry of the period prescribed under subsection 10. So what subsection 10 says that either the department has to grant me the certificate or they have to reject within the eligible time. The moment that eligible time limit crosses and department has not replied to me, by default it will be assumed that my application is accepted and registration number will be granted, will be deemed to have been granted. That's it. So these are the 5 subsections which I will discuss with you. Subsection 8, subsection 9, subsection 10, subsection 11, subsection 12. Subsection 8 deals with registration by the department on its own. Subsection 9 deals with unique identity number. Subsection 10 deals with either accept or reject. Subsection 11 deals with certificate of registration, its format, and what is the effective date of registration. And last subsection 12 deals with deemed registration by default. And almost in every subsection, the word prescribed is written. Almost in every subsection. You can see in subsection 8 it is written that as per the rules. Prescribed means rules. Subsection 9 tells you as per the rules. Subsection 10 tells you as per the rules. Subsection 11 tells you as per the rules. So this is only the language of the act. Ultimately, what is the procedure to be followed? How many days are there as time limit? Those are written in the rules. So let me start sharing with you my notepad where I will simplify these sections and I will merge those rules. You are not supposed to remember all the rules. So I will tell you only those points which are relevant. So let me share my notepad now. Is the screen visible? Kindly inform.
Yes, sir.
And is the voice coming properly without any echo?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Now, the last point was authentication. So let me continue that from point number 8 now. Registration by the department on its own. Now, what is this point which is written in the act? Suppose this person is in Delhi and aggregate turnover of this person exceeds 20 lakh on 6th June 2023. 20. Now, can you tell me? Now, this is the question which I am asking. Can you tell me on which date I am liable? I need this answer. Can you tell me on which date I am liable? On which date I am liable for registration? Or am I liable or not? Answer is yes. Because the moment my turnover exceeds 20 lakh, I become liable. On which date I am liable for registration? Can you tell me the answer? On which date I am liable to take registration as per the provisions of the law? We have discussed it. Anyone who can tell me the date? What is the last date by which I should apply for registration?
Sir, 10th of July.
10th July. So you also count. Let me also start counting. No, your answer is wrong. Any other answer? 10th July is the wrong answer. Any other answer? Answer is 6th July. 30 days. 30 days. Under section 22(1), if you remember, not 22(1), it is 25(1). Then within 30 days, I should apply for registration. So 6th July 20 is the last date by which I should apply. But I haven't applied. I haven't applied. Then next date comes. In fact, I have not applied till 26th July. I have not applied. So then government has this power. Now what can happen? If in spite of being liable, I have not applied, then proper officer may proceed to register, may issue a temporary registration. I'm not using the word registration, it is temporary. Registration on a provisional basis, temporary registration. And for example, proper officer has issued the registration on 27th July 20. Officer has issued me a registration. Temporary, not permanent, it is temporary. Because, wait a second. Oh, I think my camera was off. Am I right? I think my camera was off. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
In case my camera is off for more than 2 or 3 minutes, in that case you should inform me. Anyhow, now for example, on 27th July 20, the officer granted me temporary registration. But ultimately, application has to be from your side. Department is only giving you temporary registration. So still you have to apply. And now the deadline is within 90 days. Within 90 days, from the date of grant of temporary registration. I should apply within 90 days from the date of grant of temporary registration. In fact, I should apply. The person has to apply. It's not that the person can never apply. Person has to apply. The person has to apply. This is what the point is. That is why it was mentioned prescribed. Now these are the manners, 90 days, etc. These are the manners, that means rules mention this. Act doesn't write these things because right now it is 90 days. Maybe tomorrow government can lower it down, so they don't need the amendment in the act always. That is why it is the procedural matters. So when you have become liable and not applying on time, department has the power to issue a registration to you on temporary basis, and from the date of issue of registration on temporary basis within 90 days, now you have to apply. This is what the point is. But my question is, I have one question. Now there are so many dates. 6 June, 6 July, 26 July, 27 July, and within 90 days. Can you tell me what is the effective date of registration? This is the main point. Can you tell me logically what is the effective date of registration? Can you tell me the effective date of registration? On which date? Now there are so many different dates available. What is the effective date which will be treated as the date on which I am registered? What is the effective date? The effective date is the date of grant of temporary registration. That is 27 July 2020. It is the date on which that will be treated as the date which is effective date of registration. For all of the purposes, from this date, I will be treated as a registered person with effect from 27 July 2020. Please raise your hand if the point is clear, otherwise ask me the doubt. In case the point is clear, please raise your hand, otherwise you can ask me the doubt. Okay, now next point. Assignment of UIN. But it is not for everyone, it is for selected person. Now, there may be some people who will not be given registration certificate. Instead of registration, now both the things cannot be given, UIN as well as the registration certificate, no. Instead of registration certificate, the following persons may be given UIN, unique identity number. Now, who are those people? Do you remember? UNO offices, embassies of foreign countries, and such other class of persons as notified by the commissioner. Now, these are the people who may be given UIN. Now, why UIN? So, I was assuming an example. For example, this is American embassy, or this may be German embassy in New Delhi. Now this embassy may be supplying services also. I don't know whether the embassy is supplying goods also or not, but supplying services is common. For example, including visa, etc., etc. I don't know, maybe the embassy is also selling some goods of German culture. It's an example only. So maybe supplying the services. And for example, further assuming the aggregate turnover exceeds the limit. Now legally, if this is the case, then legally what happens? As per the provisions of law, what happens? As per section 25(1), as per section 25 subsection 1, I have to apply for registration. Am I right or not? Yes. As per 25(1), I must apply for registration. But section 25(9) gives me a benefit. It says, notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1. In these cases, it does not matter what is the aggregate turnover, they can be issued UIN. So rather than registration, irrespective of the turnover, these embassies can take UIN. And do you know why UIN will be given? This embassy, since supplying is there, must be purchasing some goods and services also. Embassy is not only supplying something, must be purchasing goods and services also. Must be purchasing goods and services. And when purchasing, they must be paying tax also. They must be paying tax on purchases also. Am I right or not? They must be paying some tax on purchases also. Now, when they don't have their registration number, and if this tax on purchases is allowed as a refund, it's an example only. Maybe refund can be claimed. Maybe refund can be claimed. Maybe refund can be claimed. Maybe. It's not that every tax on purchase will be given as a refund. It's not possible. But maybe there are some purchases on which government says that if you have paid some taxes, you can claim it as refund. And it's an easy example. Whenever you travel to any foreign country, on airport, whenever you travel to any foreign country, whatever you have purchased from that foreign country, on airports, there are so many counters which will refund the taxes paid in that foreign country when you depart from that foreign country to India. Those of you who have visited any foreign country, if they have purchased anything, and if they have shown that product along with the bill at the designated place in the airport, your tax will be refunded, which you have paid in that country, because every government wants to promote that the foreign tourists who come, they should not be charged the taxes because they have spent their time very less. So why the taxes? It leaves a good impression also. So you will get the refund in terms of dollar, pound, or any international currency, and you will be refunded that amount. Same is the case here. Maybe to have a good image of the nation, to United Nations offices, embassies of foreign countries, maybe there may be some supplies which government will say that tax paid by these embassies and UN offices will be refunded. But not every purchase, but on selected purchases. But my point is, if I am a German embassy, how can I claim refund if I don't have registration number? That is why government says no issue. Rather than registration number, we will allot you unique identity number, and it will help you in claiming the refund. Because when you apply for refund, you will show this UIN to us. That's it. That is why this number is given. So this is what I wanted to explain to you earlier, that what is the purpose of UIN? UIN does not make you registered. As an ambassador, UIN does not make you registered, but it gives you an identity, a special identity, which will help you in communicating with the department and which will help you in claiming the refund from the department. That's it. So technically, what is the purpose of, I'm continuing the same point, what is the purpose of this UIN or not the purpose, what are the main points to be noted for UIN? So there are some notes related to UIN. First, UIN purpose includes refund. I'm using the word includes. So I'm not saying that this is the only purpose. At least through UIN you can communicate with the department. Includes refund of taxes, paid on purchases as specified. This is first point. Now next point, UIN must be granted within 3 working days of application. Then now, do you remember the time limit of registration? Can you tell me the time limit of registration? Within how many days I should apply if my turnover exceeds the limit? Can you tell me within how many days I should apply when my turnover exceeds the limit? Anyone who can tell me? Within how many days I should apply? This is my question. Within how many days I should apply when my turnover exceeds the limit? Any answer? 30 days. We have just discussed that within 30 days I should apply when my turnover exceeds the limit. Now this limit is not applicable. Not applicable. In case of UIN, this limit is not applicable. I can apply even after 60 days, 90 days, no time limit applicable. Last point. UIN does not make you registered. UIN does not make registered person. That's it. Just because you are having UIN instead of registration number, you cannot call yourself a registered person. This is the main point. This is what the discussion on UIN is. 10th point. If you remember the act, the 10th point was either grant the registration or UIN or reject it. Granted or rejected. If you remember this provision, the department or the proper officer has to take a decision. They cannot sit on my application permanently. Either they have to grant me, it is to reduce the, not reduce, in fact to remove the corruption in the system, or reject the application of registration or UIN after verification. They have to ultimately take a decision. They cannot sit for long. 11th point. Now, if everything is ordered, then they should issue the certificate. Issue a certificate of registration. they should issue. Now, this is the point. So there are 2 points. As far as the 2 points are, I will discuss those 2 points later on. Dates I will discuss later on. First, let me tell you, when you applied for registration and when the registration certificate will come, that document will mention what? What should be mentioned in that document? The information which will be there is your principal place of business. Principal place of business. It will be mentioned. Additional places, like if I am having separate branches, then additional place of business or additional places of business will also be mentioned. Is my voice coming to you now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I think there was some break in internet for a few seconds. Now it is clear. It is GSTIN, goods and services tax identification number. In the following format. Now, first two, these are state codes, Delhi, Delhi, Maharashtra, or whatever is this, state codes. Next, and PAN number. Next, and 1, 2. PAN number, and in case those where PAN number is not required, so PAN is first preference, okay? If PAN is not required, then in selected case you have second preference of 10. 10 is selected cases, like a person who is supposed to deduct tax at source can give 10 also. Next two, entity code. Entity code. And last is checksum correct. Okay, this is the format. You must have found this number displayed on displayed at so many places where you have visited. Then it is the GSTI number. Now, next question is, issuing certificate. Now, within issuing certificate, this was my information. And next point is, what is the effective date of registration? That is necessary to know. Now, there are two situations. In case I have applied within eligible time limit, after time limit application was made, I always gave you a simple example a person in Kerala aggregate turnover exceeded rupees 20 lakh on 3rd December 2020. Now, can you tell me by which date I should apply? Now, can you tell me what is the last date when I should apply? Last date to apply for registration. What is the last date? Can you tell me this last date? You also start counting. Let me also start counting. Can you tell me the last date? Can you tell me the last date by which I should apply? It is second Jan. Yes, very good. It is 2nd Jan because when you do 30 days, it is 2nd Jan. I applied on which date? Within time limit. This is what the provision says. For example, I applied on 29th December within the time. This date is within this 30 days limit. I applied within time. Registration certificate was granted. For example, it is granted on 4th Jan 2020. Now there are 4 different dates. Can you tell me the effective date of registration as per the provisions of law? It is 3rd December 2020. This is my effective date. This you should remember. It is my effective date. When you became liable on any date and from your side there is no delay, you applied within the time limit, then whatever is the date on which your turnover exceeded the limit, that is your effective date. It does not matter when you got the certificate. It does not matter what was the last day of applying for certificate. 3rd December 20 is the effective date of registration. Now, next case. Now, in the same example, let me assume that I applied. In the same example, let me assume that I applied on 5th Jan 21. See, I should have applied on 2nd Jan. I should have applied on 2nd Jan within 30 days when my turnover exceeded 3rd December. These two figures are same. Turnover exceeded 20 lakh on 3rd December 20. Last date of application 2nd Jan 21. I applied 5th Jan 21 and for example registration certificate was granted on 11th Jan 21. Now in this question, what is the effective date? Can you tell me? In case you applied after time limit, then the date when you get the certificate, that is the effective date. This is the point. Now these questions can come in numericals also. This is the effective date. I hope you remember, or I hope you have understood this point. Any problem, please ask. In case you apply within the time limit, then the effective date is the date when the turnover exceeded the limit. In case you apply after the time limit, then the effective date is the date when you actually received the certificate. That's it. Now, please raise your hand and let me proceed. In case this point is clear, in case this concept is clear, please raise your hand. Very good. Next point. Now the point comes when you have visited any showroom or any restaurant. Have you noticed that always registration certificate is displayed or registration number is in fact written on the boards? If someone is saying that it is cloth shop, or Madan Cloth Show, you must find registration number also written. Do you know why? Because of the provisions of law. So now the next discussion is display of registration certificate and display of number. So heading number C. Display of. So as far as registration number is registration certificate as well as registration number. So now these two are different things. Registration certificate is one page document, you can say, and registration number is only that number of 15 characters as well as digits that format to first two state codes, next 10 PAN or 10, next to entity code, and last is checksum characters. So certificate is a page and number is simply a number, just like PAN number, you can say. So as far as registration certificate is concerned, we have different provisions. It should be displayed, registration certificate. Okay, you should understand that it is registration. Let me write complete rather than short form. Registration certificate. It must be displayed at the prominent place. Prominent place at principal place of business, additional places of business. P stands for principal place of business. A stands for additional place of business. At the prominent place from where it is visible, that is the meaning of prominent. And as far as registration number is concerned, it should be entry place. It should be displayed at entry place where you enter. Whether it is principal place of business or it is additional place of business. This is the display. 11th point. Deemed registration. So note 11, it is now 12th point. Deemed registration. In case you applied registration of UIN and no reply from the department within the eligible time limit, no reply from the department within the eligible time. So what is the prescribed time? You are not supposed to learn the days for each and every procedure. That is not relevant in your course and that cannot be learned by anyone. You have to see the provisions. So within the time limit, in case department does not reply, then the registration /UIN will be deemed to have been granted. Deemed by default to have been granted. These things will remove corruption, where you have time-bound work to be done. Either you fail or reject, don't keep them pending. That's it. That's all from my side. Any problem, please ask. Now, most prominent sections of registration we have covered: 22, 23, 24, 25. Remaining sections 26, 27, 28, 29 and 30 of registration will not take much time. These are not so relevant, remaining sections, but still these are in the course. The main relevant sections are over as far as registration is concerned. Goodbye for now, and let us meet tomorrow and let me discuss with you the remaining sections of registration topic. Goodbye. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.